Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, the National Security Minister denies statements that police officers will be victimized for joining protest action. Trade union leader Curtis Augustus condemns recent acts of violence in the city and a $300,000 investment for the local craft sector. The details of the news coming up.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Minister for National Security Reuben Blackmore has denied claims that police officers who participated in a 14th November protest will be victimized. Mr. Blackmore's comments come against the backdrop of an online list making the rounds on social media, which names police officers who will be victimized for engaging in protest action last week.
Information circulating via the social media that there's a list of police officers to be victimized, not to be promoted, not to be sent on training opportunities, were actually requested by the Prime Minister to be victimized because they participated in some kind of a protest on November 14, 2019. I just want you to place on public record that this is totally false. Is a pure calculation based on politics, and it seeks to destabilize the police force.
Mr. Blackmore said it is not in the Labour Party's administration's interest to victimize any individual.
The Dominican Labour Party government under Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is not about victimizing anybody. The police force over the years has benefited from tremendous opportunities in training. We are taking a decision to augment the police strength to 600, created of course senior positions, inspectors, sergeants, and the list goes on. We of course have also dealt with the issue of the long-standing medical health insurance of the police as of November 1st of this year. The police has coverage that the police is actually satisfied with. So the Labour Party and Prime Minister Skerrit administration is not about victimizing anyone.
The National Security Minister also commended the country's police force for the work it does in protecting and serving Dominicans.
And I also want to commend the police for the tremendous demonstration of commitment to country and the level of tolerance they have been able to demonstrate throughout this episode as we try to head to free, peaceful and fair election.
Head of one of the leading trade unions here has condemned recent acts of violence in the city. Andrea Louis reports.
Last Monday, the United Workers' Party held a peaceful rally at Lindo Park in Goodwill, which then proceeded to the city of Roseau, where it culminated in a clash with police and the setting of fire and blockage of roads at various points. Secretary-Treasurer of the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, Curtis Augustus, says the trade unions in Dominica do not subscribe to the notion of violence in the lead-up to the 6th December general elections.
It is known that in the Electoral Reform Committee that the unions, both Thomas Slater and myself, sit on that committee. And we were concerned. In fact, I made the statement to the effect that I was very concerned with the likelihood of violence in our election. And this is one thing I do not want for Dominica. I do not want Dominica to be tarnished from the standpoint of having violent elections. I don't want anybody hurt. I don't want anybody killed. And therefore, I pray and I hope that we will have an election whereby there is no violence and there is no crime coming out of this whole process.
Augustus would like to see the two main political parties come together and put an end to the high political tensions and unsettling idea of civil unrest in the country.
I have said before, in other instances, that when you have warring parties, in the end, they always come probably at a table, eyeball to eyeball, face to face, to formulate the resolution of that. And I also say that even in world wars, that the parties have got to come together at a table to resolve that world war. The bombing of each other, the destruction of each other's country, the killing of the soldiers have never resulted in the resolution of wars. So I'm saying, similarly, in this scenario, we have to talk. It's only through discussion that you could find resolution to whatever problems that we have.
And His Excellency Vince Henderson has publicly commended CARICOM and Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Francine Barron for her recent address at the OAS in Washington. Honorable Barron and Ambassador Henderson were at the OAS last week against the background of protest action which some say was orchestrated to promote a narrative that Dominica's elections were not free and fair. It appears that the OAS itself has already commented on Dominica's situation before the government delegation showed up.
We have had the occasion to be concerned about actions or decisions taken by the OAS on certain matters which depart from what we consider to be established practice and which we think calls into question whether the OAS Charter and the rules of the organization are being breached. We are equally concerned by public pronouncements that have been made by the Secretary General, which displays bias, disregard for governments of member states, and which calls into question his role and by question the organization's role as an honest broker. We expect from this organization that when statements are made on behalf of the membership or by the directing mind of this organization, that it will be fair and balanced, having regard to all of the facts.
A group of Dominicans living in the United States protested that visit by the Honorable Barron and Ambassador Henderson.
The Secretary General of the OAS spoke.
Yes, yes.
And Nicaragua is a good friend of Dominica, Nicaragua spoke, and the Secretary General spoke to bring the session to a close. Of course, our minister is the one who had the last word, then the chair. But the final contribution from the floor was from the Secretary General of the OAS.
Yes.
And the Secretary General also had pretty much shifted from his previous position, publicly that is.
Yes.
I don't know what's in a man's mind, but from the tweet to the presentation, there was clearly a difference, a departure from the strong views that were expressed. And again, I spent about an hour with the Secretary General in a private conversation, just two of us.
Yes.
And basically walking him through a number of things and providing the facts to support
Yes,
that. So it's not just my opinion. And as I said to him, and the minister said in her presentation, everything we are saying can be verified.
Yes.
You can go independently and verify. So we're not telling you tales. So go ahead and find out for yourself. Look at what the law says. Look at what the case law is on these matters. So we were able to present that. So we spoke. So when he came out and spoke at the Permanent Council, he pretty much recognized that he's been fed a fable. I mean, he was being told, stories that were pretty far from the actual reality and the truth, as a matter of fact. And he was getting a one-sided view, although I will say I will not give him a free pass. As a Secretary General, he had an obligation to hear from the member state which he was accusing, which is what the minister said to him. You should have at least. And plus, you have the benefit of your technical staff who could provide you with more details. And you could have gone back to the previous reports from the OAS missions on Dominica's elections in 2014 and 2009. So he recognized that he was being misled by the opposition. And he admitted that he had several meetings with the opposition, and they've written to him on a number of occasions and so forth. So after he spoke, I guess the people in the opposition, UWP supporters in the gallery, they themselves didn't
get the satisfaction they were looking for.
Precisely.
You have 70,000 people.
Tell us what happened today.
On the voters
Well,
list.
it looks as though we're losing our country. And you see that it's going down the drain. Yes. 82nd Airborne. Yes, sir. We need airborne. We're not going to stand by and let this happen.
Vince, shame on you. Shame on you, Vince. Shame on you. Speak to us. Speak to us. Say something, Vince. Say something, Vince. Say something. Say something. Say something. It's your last term. It's your last term. It's your last term, Vince. Shame on you. Shame on you. For Dominica's sake. For Dominica's sake, we're doing this, Vince. Shame on you. Shame on you, Vince. For Dominica's sake. For Dominica's sake. For Dominica's sake. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame. Shame on you. Shame on you. There's shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah, shame on you. Shame on you.
Come out and take your walk again. Come back and take your walk.
Take your walk of shame.
Ambassador Henderson says he was disappointed in the behavior of the Dominicans who protested at the OAS.
I have been, at the OAS for the last 2 years or so, and I have seen countries, I have seen oppositions of country from certain countries like Venezuela. Venezuela's been the most debated matter at the OAS over the last 2 years.
Yes.
And imagine Venezuela, country about 23 million people who are very active, and the situation in Venezuela.
Yes.
It's been really bad. Dominica is nothing close. That's just not close. And I have never seen that behavior even from the Venezuelan opposition, who have from time to time come to the OAS when the minister was present or a government official from Venezuela was present. I had never seen that. Normally what they would do, they would sit in the visitors area. They might say a little chant or two if they don't like something that's being said. Politely, I must add. Then they would go outside, across the road, or even while people inside, there are people outside. They would not come into the parking lot where you saw the UWP supporters. They were actually in the parking lot. So they don't normally come in, they stay out. And they have their placards and they chant. Now, in our case, which was so telling, that the opposition people who were there, they were not chanting, they were cursing, they were calling me names.
Yeah.
Sacred Vole,
venomous.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
And interestingly, they never asked for electoral reform. You see, and that's what I'm saying. If your big move is electoral reform, I expect you to come with your placards.
Yes.
and I expect you to be chanting, you know, one man, one vote, or votes must count, you know, voters list,
Yes.
you know, ID cards, and chanting.
C'est pas pour jouer.
C'est pas pour jouer moun. And it wasn't lost on the U.S. delegation. Because they raised it with me 2 days ago when we met. It wasn't lost on them. And so they themselves said to me, they have never seen that kind of behavior at the OAS. Imagine that, you know. A U.S. member of the U.S. delegation who themselves, we can say, in the manner in which they've been behaving on this matter, they've been supporting the opposition. Earlier, they were supporting the opposition. And they admitted that they've never seen that kind of behavior. And I will tell you this, Daryl.
Yes.
By the time we left the OAS, and we went to our office just across, it took us about 5 to 10 minutes to get to the office settled. I had an email from the U.S. expressing their concern for my safety. Because the U.S. officials got to see firsthand. They brought their bad behavior from Roseau to Washington. And the U.S. was able to see firsthand what these people were capable of. And they were shocked utterly because they felt that this was totally unwarranted. This is, first of all, not the way to bring your message across.
That's true.
Secondly, why behave that way?
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
When persons with TB sneeze or cough, healthy persons nearby breathe in the droplets and the bacteria can lodge in their lungs. People with weakened immune systems such as HIV/AIDS, alcohol and drug users, smokers, children, and the elderly are most susceptible. Persons with a cough should take precautions when in contact with persons in public places. Cover your mouth when sneezing and coughing. Visit your doctor or health center. You must complete your treatment. TB can be cured even with HIV. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB and HIV. Protect yourself and others.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting. For people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Dominica's craft sector to get a $300,000 boost or investment in 2020. This is among the plans of the Dominica Export-Import Agency Dexia to grow the craft sector. General Manager of Dexia, Gregoire Thomas, says a proposal for the funding should be brought before the funding institution next month.
There's quite a bit of work that we have been doing, particularly with craft, We are in the process right now of presenting a proposal to Compete Caribbean so that we can draw down some resources to support the craft sector. Sometime in December, and hopefully we are keeping our fingers crossed, that we will get a nod so that we can do a presentation to an investment panel to attract some $300,000 to support the craft sector. And the craft, we are talking not just the wooden crafts and the leather crafts, but we are also talking about Kalinago craft.
Mr. Thomas says plans are also afoot to give greater recognition to the craft items produced by Dominica's indigenous people.
Sometime earlier in the year, we also did some work with Caribbean Export, where we have been looking at the development of Kalinago craft. Our original intention was to consider what we call a geographical indication for the Kalinago craft. But based on the findings of the consultancy report that we have, the recommendation is that we look at a collective mark. So collective mark is just one stage towards the geographical indication. And it's a way of branding, it's a way of maintaining the cultural heritage of the Kalinago people. And we believe that there is a lot of potential in terms of supporting Kalinago craft and supporting the craft sector in general.
And Saturday, 30th November will mark the end of the 2019 hunting season. Andrea Louis has more.
The hunting season had been closed in 2017 and 2018 due to the passage of Hurricane Maria in an effort to give Dominica's wildlife a chance to recover from the trauma of the storm. The Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division is still concerned with the wildlife population but opted to have the hunting season open in 2019 for a shorter period. The hunting season normally runs from 1st October to 31st December each year. This year, however, the season ran from 16th October to 30th November. Assistant Forest Officer at the Environmental Education Unit of the Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division, Norma Anthony, advises those who wish to travel with wildlife to apply for permits to do so before the end of the season.
The division will no longer be issuing export permits, wildlife export permits, after the 30th of November. So we encourage the traveling public, if you have to travel with wildlife, please come to get your permits before the 30th.
During the hunting season, licensed hunters were allowed to hunt crabs, agouti, manikou, and ramie.
The Forestry Division would like to remind the general public that the hunting season closes on the 30th of November 2019. The season was only opened for 1 month due to the passage of Hurricane Maria. Our biodiversity and ecosystem is still very fragile. So we would like to thank the general public for their support and cooperation during this time.
Owing to the country's still fragile biodiversity, there was no hunting of freshwater species, namely crayfish, mullet, shrimp, and freshwater crabs. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. The National Security Minister denies statements that police officers will be victimized for joining protest action. Trade union leader Curtis Augustus condemns recent acts of violence in the city and a $300,000 investment for the local craft sector. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.